The Mountain by Gorillaz is their ninth studio album, which for many fans is seen as a potential redemption from the 2023 release Cracker Island, which was received with mixed emotions. Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett are both on record saying that the deaths of close family members were part of the inspiration for this album, alongside trips to India, which influenced some of the instrumentation here. The whole album feels like an exploration of these ideas with that rich layer of instrumentation, ranging from the typical synth pop you'd expect from Gorillaz at this stage to Indian classical and even like Latin pop. Gorillaz managed to blend 20 genres into one on this album, and it still feels very cohesive with only a few dull moments. There's also a massive feature list, including highly acclaimed lyricist Black Thought and Yassine Bey, formerly Mos Def, as well as Syrian artist Omar Suleiman and Bristol punk band Idols. The feature list is as diverse as the music that Gorillaz managed to compose on the mountain, which truly feels like you're on a journey up this mysterious peak in northern India, constantly bumping into people from all over the world who stop you to tell you stories. The production is the strongest aspect of this project for me. From the moment you start listening to the opening song, you're hit with the iconic psychedelic sounds of sitars and tampuras, with a flute melody alongside it, transporting you to the world that Gorillaz are trying to create here. The following songs blend the electronic synth pop sounds that Gorillaz are well known for with these classical Indian soundscapes and dreamy vocals from Albarn, often reminding me of David Bowie actually. He doesn't give much to the listener in terms of vocal performance here, or like his singing. And I can see why some people wouldn't like it alongside the classical instrumental style. However, for me, it sounds more like he's a gentle voice from the clouds guiding you up the mountain throughout these songs, bringing much needed context to what's going on. On the tongue-in-cheek track, The Happy Dictator, I found the vocal effects remind me of public loudspeakers, which works well with the sarcastic tone of the song. I love when artists embrace British satire when writing political songs. I find it quite charming, and the way that Albarn subtly mocks the dictatorship of Turkmenistan, which is what he said inspired him to write this, in such an upbeat way, reminded me of stuff like Taxman by the Beatles, where Harrison uses a similar method to mock the tax system in 1960s England. Other excellent lyrical performances come from Black Thought and a posthumous performance from De La Soul member Trugoid the Dove on The Moon Cave, which is one of my favourite songs in the entire album. Black Thought was my favourite feature on the album because he never misses with his verses, and I don't think he ever has. He claims he can float like a butterfly and precedes it by rapping effortlessly about whatever comes to his mind, bouncing from music to religion to politics in seconds. Following this on The Empty Dream Machine, he flawlessly once again explores Eastern spirituality, his own identity as a black man, and becoming stronger through hardship, with such a smooth flow the entire time. I respect if you've got Black Thought as the GOAT of rap, because he's been too consistent for too long at this point. Staying on the topic of rap performances, the beat switch from Latin pop to this ominous brass-led beat on the Manifesto was amazing. Proof's overtly violent and dangerous verse contrasts drastically from the more reflective, happy-sounding verses from True No Moments before. That's such a good song, and another one of my favourites here. Although the entire album is sort of like a blend of different genres, I thought the best attempt at genre blending was Omar Suleiman and Yassine Bey on Damascus. The latter, best known for his work as Mos Def, avoids the typical deep storytelling he's known for, instead focusing on creating a high-energy cultural blend alongside the Syrian artist. The way that the pair bounce off each other is really infectious and makes it another one of my favourites here. I've mostly spoken about what I loved so far, and even though there aren't any bad songs here, I wouldn't say there's anything too bad. I did find some to be a tier lower than others. The God of Lying, for example, didn't hit me, and I wasn't a fan of the spoken word delivery for the majority of the runtime on that track. Casablanca was another song that didn't live up to the same standards as many of the other tracks here. I found it to be somewhat repetitive actually, and it was missing the experimentation that makes the rest of the tracklist so amazing. The album closes with the melancholic song The Sad God, where once again Black Thought drops an incredible verse. I genuinely felt quite sad when I reached the end of this project, where which really surprised me, as I hadn't been super high on Gorillaz before, and I'd only heard a handful of their most popular songs. But I really want to go back and revisit the classics now. The Mountain is the best album I've heard this year so far. One of the most impressive first listening experiences I've had in the last year potentially. Overall, I'd put it in the A tier for albums I've listened to this year, with none of the other ones I've heard actually coming that close in retrospect. There have been some other great albums this year, but I think this one, the experimentation, the instrumentals, the performances, they all come together so well to create just a brilliant album, which I really enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching through to the end if you got all the way here. I'm not sure which album I want to review next. Nothing's come out this week that's really caught my attention. However, I'll keep my eye out, and I will. I've got some other video ideas which I want to make in the next couple of weeks. Thank you. Bye.